Gypsy Rose Blanchard discussed on Good Morning America her choice to take her mother's life. In an interview with Good Morning America that aired on Friday morning, Gypsy Rose Blanchard stated that she had no desire to become famous. "I feel conflicted, of course," Gypsy admitted to Deborah Roberts. "I'm not searching for fame. I used to often say, I think I'm infamous, and then I became well-known." Gypsy, who rose to fame after attempting to murder her violent mother, made a similar statement in a POPLE exclusive interview that was done just before her December 28 jail release. Gypsy said to PUGL, "I was never one of those kids who wanted to be famous. Singing was not what I wanted to do. Actress was not what I wanted to do. Being something that had an impact on others was my goal." After pleading guilty to the 2015 murder of her mother, Deedee Blanchard, for which she was given a 10-year sentence, Gypsy was granted parole after 8 years. In 2019, Nicholas Godejohn, Gypsy's ex-boyfriend, was found guilty of murder and given a life sentence. In an attempt to free Gypsy from her abusive mother, Munchausen via proxy, the pair planned to kill Deedee. Gypsy, after killing her mother, Rose Blanchard, was freed from a 10-year prison sentence early, saying, "I'm ready," exclusive. Gypsy told GMA, "I don't think my mother is a monster. She battled numerous monsters. I just wanted to get out of my predicament and thought it was the only way to do it. I didn't want her dead." Since then, her story has been the subject of numerous TV shows, such as the forthcoming docuseries The Prison Confessions of Gypsy Rose Blanchard, which premieres tonight on Lifetime, and the 2017 HBO documentary Mommy Dead and Dearest. To learn more about Gypsy Rose Blanchard's case, pick up this week's issue of P-Pill on newsstands or subscribe to the magazine right now. Roberts questioned Gypsy on GMA regarding the events leading up to the murder, although she was able to sober up while incarcerated. The recent parole admitted that she was hooked to pills at the time. Gypsy declared, "I don't blame drugs. I don't blame anything. I hold no justifications." During the interview, Godejohn's life sentence was brought up. Her accomplice will not be eligible for parole, unlike Gypsy. Would you want to read the most recent coverage of crimes? For updates on current trials, details on interesting unsolved cases, and breaking crime news, subscribe to People's free true crime newsletter. Gypsy said she's sure we both have a lot of regrets and wished him well on his journey. Gypsy with Ryan Scott Anderson, a Louisiana-born special education teacher, while she was still incarcerated. After Gypsy was released from Chillicothe Correctional Center, Anderson picked her up, and the two of them are eager to begin their lives together. But she pointed out that they are both managing her sudden notoriety. Gypsy stated on GMA, "We've talked about starting a family. We just don't know when at this point. Right now, our lives are quite hectic. Call 1-800-4A-CHILD or 1-800-422-4453, the Child Help National Child Abuse Hotline. If you believe a child has been abused, or visit www.childhelp.org. Every call is private and toll-free. The hotline is open in over 170 languages around the clock. Text STRENGTH to the crisis text line at 741 to 741 to speak with a licensed crisis counselor if you or someone you know has experienced sexual abuse. Gypsy's Prison Confessions on January 5 at 8 p.m. ET/PT on Lifetime. Rose Blanchard, a 6-hour special providing never-before-seen access to the most well-known Munchausen by proxy victim, will have its premiere. Extra from Roberts' conversation with Gypsy on Friday at 9 p.m. ET on ABC. Rose Blanchard will appear on 2020's. Gypsy, following her 8-year prison sentence for her involvement in her mother, Deedee Blanchard's murder, Rose Blanchard was granted parole in September. Gypsy, following her 8-year prison sentence for her involvement in her mother's murder, Rose Blanchard was granted her freedom. Gypsy was released from the Chillicothe Correctional Center in Missouri at approximately 3 in the morning, local time, as PUPLE was informed by the Missouri Department of Corrections. In an exclusive interview with PUPL, Gypsy declares, "I'm ready for freedom," just before her early release. "I'm ready to expand, and I think that goes for every facet of my life." The Missouri Department of Corrections confirmed in September that Gypsy, 32, had been granted parole and will be released in December, according to reports from Ozarks First and the Springfield News Leader. After admitting to being involved in her mother Claudine deedee Blanchard's fatal stabbing, Gypsy was given a 10-year prison sentence in July 2016. Because Gypsy spent time in the Greene County Jail prior to her release from the Missouri Department of Corrections, she fulfilled 85% of her sentence when she was freed. Following the June 2015 discovery of deedee Blanchard's body, 23-year-old Gypsy and her then-boyfriend, Nick godejohn, were both accused with her murder. Gypsy now tells PUPL, "No one will ever hear me say I'm glad she's dead or I'm proud of what I did. I'm not pleased with my actions. Every day I regret doing that." An account of the murder case and parole of Gypsy Rose Blanchard. After they were apprehended, it became apparent that deedee had made up all of her daughter's medical problems, and that Gypsy was a victim of Munchausen by proxy syndrome, a rare kind of abuse where a parent or guardian makes up or inflates a child's condition in order to get sympathy or attention. Deedee had persuaded everyone in her life that she was a terminally ill adolescent suffering from muscular dystrophy, leukemia, and other diseases, with the mental capacity of a 7-year-old. I would voice concerns, being like, "I really don't feel like I need this," and she would get really, really upset with me and start manipulating me, Gypsy relates. Gypsy alleged that during doctor visits, her mother would not let her talk and would tell the authorities not to believe her if she ever attempted to flee. Gypsy, who was never enrolled in school and was prevented from forming relationships with her father Rod, stepmother Christy, and her half-sibling, says, "I was very sheltered. My exposure to other children and the content I could view were restricted. The only outside world I was exposed to was through Disney films, and those don't discuss the telltale symptoms of dysfunctional parents." How a murderous mother from Missouri tricked the world and manipulated her daughter by pretending to have health issues. Gypsy stated to Dr. Phil McGraw in November 2017 that she didn't think Gypsy deserved it as many years as she got. At the time, she declared, "I firmly believe that murder is not okay, no matter what. I firmly feel that I should serve a sentence in prison for that offense. However, I also see why it occurred, and I don't think I'm in the ideal location to receive the support I require." Would you want to read the most recent coverage of crimes? For updates on current trials, details on interesting unsolved cases, and breaking crime news, subscribe to People's free true crime newsletter. She's much more thoughtful now. "She didn't deserve that," she remarks regarding the murder of her mother. "I was sadly too ignorant to recognize that she was a sick woman. She should have been serving her sentence in jail for her illegal actions, which is where I am now." Following his trial conviction for first-degree murder in 2019, Gypsy's boyfriend, 32-year-old godejohn, was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, as previously reported by KI3, KOAM, and the Springfield News Leader. Godejohn traveled from Wisconsin to see Gypsy in Missouri after meeting her online. Gypsy had talked him into it, as per her evidence in court. She regrets that as well. "If I had another chance to redo everything, I don't know if I would go back to when I was a child and tell my aunts and uncles that I'm not sick and mommy makes me sick," Gypsy continues. "Or if I would travel back to just the point of that conversation with Nick and tell him, you know what? I'm going to go tell the police everything. I kind of struggle with that." Since then, Gypsy and godejohn have split up, and she is currently married to Ryan Anderson, a teacher from Louisiana whom she married last year while incarcerated. People hear her say, "We're in love." She continues, "When I'm at home with my family, with my husband's arms around me, and I'm surrounded by my loved ones, that is when I will be happy." She is now talking about her incredible journey to help others as she gets ready to share her own experience in Lifetime's compelling new documentary, The Prison Confessions of Gypsy Rose Blanchard, which premieres on January 5. I want to make sure that people in abusive relationships do not resort to murder, she continues. Although it could appear that all paths are blocked, there are always alternatives. Don't follow this path. Instead, do anything. Call 1-800-4-A-CHILD or 1-800-422-4453, the Child Help National Child Abuse Hotline. If you believe a child has been abused, or visit www.childhelp.org. Every call is private and toll-free. The hotline is open in over 170 languages around the clock. Lifetime's 6-hour special, The Prison Confessions of Gypsy Rose Blanchard, which provides never-before-seen access to the most well-known Munchausen by proxy victim, debuts on January 5 at 8 p.m. ET/PT.